good afternoon, everyone who is here in the hall, and as I understand, also online. It's really a pleasure and an honor for me to chair a discussion with Commander of Cyber Defense Unit of Latvia, especially because in the context about 10, 12 years ago, when I was still working in Latvian Defense Ministry, we had a chance to, back then, together with Minister and National Guard Commander and other bright people, sit down and brainstorm and create this unit. And I was recently visiting you, Commander, in the facilities of the unit, and it was a great pleasure to see how much you have grown, both in numbers, in technical presence, and also in the scope of your work. So I'm really looking forward to tell as much as we can, because we know that this field is not all so transparent, and it's not possible to put everything visibly. But I'm also super happy to talk about that, because I am, as I was introduced, currently working with Ministry of Digital Transformation in Ukraine. And one of the fields that I'm helping ministry is also cybersecurity. And we, of course, see a lot that this domain matters and means a lot in the ongoing war. So back then, when we started in Latvia to think about this, the main reason was that it was clear that government will never have enough resources to hire the best talents to defend the country digitally. And we understood that we have to look out for these people, because we have bright people in our society working for private sector, working on their own, that would be willing to help country and would be willing to defend country. But the thing is that both public sector and also critical infrastructure, the ones that really make the society run, electricity, water, telecommunications, finances, you know, all the critical services. It's not that, you know, in the crisis situation, you can call your best friend and say, hey, come in and help the banking sector. There are certain rules, you know, those information has to be protected. You can't engage on a random base rather good experts. So we came to this idea to create this unit. And so maybe for a start, I can ask you to tell how that unit is working today, what are you doing, maybe also a little bit in the context of ongoing war. How does it feel for your unit? What did the war do to your unit here? So if you can briefly just give an intro of how this cyber defense unit is working today.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the good explanation how actually everything started. As you mentioned, in the beginning, the main idea was to gather around all those experts in one place. And as you mentioned, for them, we can't get better salaries that they have in a civilian life, but the idea to create a unit as a volunteer unit, it means that our colleagues who are working together with us, basically they are working in the working places during the day, and in the evenings when they have a time, they just attend our activities. Unit was established in 2013, and right now we are growing up, starting from the 19 experts. Right now we have a couple of hundreds right now, and to answer to the question how actually war, when the war started, actually we had two waves. First wave was in 2014, when the first time they understand that some of the experts want to join the unit and protect our cyberspace. And the second wave, I can tell you, it was in 2022 when the war started in Ukraine. And right now, as I said, right now we are a couple of hundred experts in our community. So the main task for us when the unit was established, we were made like a support for the MilCert and CERT, national CERT. The idea was if they don't have enough hands-on, that we are the unit who can support them, and we have special agreement how we are doing and how we are supporting them. And during this time period, right now it's almost 11 years. This year will be 11th year of anniversary in our unit. So we did that already 4 times for the cert. I can't tell you the details because I'm not allowed to say the details. But anyway, we did that 4 times, and right now we are taking part in different kind of exercises, and I think Ieva will mention some of them, and then I will describe them.
Yeah, I think this is because you can't say so much about very specific incidents. Tell us more about maybe what is the unit's, what do you do? Do you meet regularly? Do you train? Do you hang out? Do you have to do physical activities? We know that National Guard has a sort of certain set of requirements. How does it influence cyber defense unit? What are your routines as for someone, if someone here in the crowd would be interested to join, like what the life in your unit looks like?
So I already see some of our colleagues here in the audience, but yes, how we start. Most of people think that the cyber defense unit guys should run in the forest with a rifle and stuff like that. It's a one part actually, because we pay attention more of their skills, their knowledge and experience. That's the main part what we are looking for. And the second one is how we create those activities for our volunteers. It's also totally different than in other National Guard units because we spend the time in the evenings, and Sundays and Saturdays we are spending, leaving for the families, to spend time with the families, because IT specialists are always busy, as you know. And yes, we have a different kind of activities. One is remote activities, is mostly made like that because you don't need to come to our classrooms and place where we are located right now, but you can do that sitting in the couch at home and just remotely take some exercises. So if we compare those activities, that I can say that we have a military, a little bit background, and then we spend a lot of time for the IT specialists. But I think that you have heard about the big exercise, NATO exercise. It's Locker Shield. I think that at least some of you have heard. This is the biggest IT cyber-related exercise, technical exercise in a world, I would say, because last year 35 countries were attending and 24 teams were made together, and we get the 4th place. And every year we need to find someone who will play together with our country, because you are not allowed as a one country to attend this exercise because everyone wants to join this exercise. And that's why we decided this year we are working together with a NATO NCIA team. Last year we were together with Luxembourg Army, and it was a very good experience. And actually this exercise will be held next week, all week. And this week it started like a testing for this exercise. And what else we have? We have also our exercises what we created for our colleagues. We have a winter frost. Usually it's in the winter time. It's a remote exercise where all our counterparts can join this exercise, and you can sit at home and do the things. It's a one-day exercise. Then we have a cyber autumn. It's in the autumn period. And during those exercises, what I already mentioned, we have more others. One big exercise, national, I would say it's a national level exercise, honeypot, where we work together with civilian sectors. Army together with the security services and the critical infrastructure colleagues from civilian side, And other exercise, what is a national armed forces exercise, NAMES. Every year at the end of the year we have this kind of exercise where the cyber unit is working together with the infantry, with the air forces, navy, all together. And then we can try to find solutions, how we can support all those units, how we can protect our soldiers. Yeah.
Do you have a scoring in that exercise? Do you get sort of who are doing better, who are, is it a competition?
Locket Shield is definitely a competition where you can get the points. And last year, as I remember, it was very close to the third place, just a lack of 150 points. It's not much. Yeah, but I hope that this year will be much better because we spend a lot of time to preparing all those skills, and we know what we need to improve. And yes, and actually when the exercise is finished, we start already preparing for the next year. Mm-hmm. And we noticed that it's very important, not just cyber defense unit is involved in this kind of exercise. It's very important that from the civilian sectors, our colleagues are coming together, sitting next to each other. Yes, the main idea for Locket Shield is not just remote. Coming to the exercise, but you can sit to each other, talk to each other, share your experience and stuff like that. This is very important that they are coming together and know each other and build the trust.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a diverse teams. It's not only technical people, but it's,
absolutely.
I guess, legal, media, PR people.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to design this teamwork in a super fast environment with all the components.
Absolutely. Actually, it's working like I would say it's like a mechanism of watch. If there's something is not working well, mm-hmm. that whole watch is not working well. Mm-hmm. Yes, we have a different kind of teams, and as you mentioned, that they should work together. And the main reason and a very good way how to get the scoring is reports. You need to write down precisely everything what you see, what you notice, everything. And if you will do that very well, that the scoring will be definitely better. But each of those teams, what you mentioned, should work like a good mechanism because each of those teams can get the good scoring points.
Mm-hmm. Right. So reflecting a little bit also on my experience in Ukraine, we, of course, all have seen that Ukraine is super advanced of using technology in the war, and we also see that the war is changing from, embracing more and more technologies in it. And you can also sort of see how much that knowledge and skill comes from people in private sector, starting from the companies themselves, contributing to the either with skills or with physical technologies or with softwares, or it's individuals. And I think now the President Zelensky announced that they will have a separate unit in the army that will be dedicated to drones. So you can see that this actually is the unit that Latvia has already is very much needed in all the other countries, and Ukraine is now under martial law, obviously, and under war, can act quicker and mobilize people. but they still need that structure. What are the legal grounds for people to engage? What are the financial consequences? What is accountability of every single person who is part of this defense or, working on critical infrastructure? So I wonder how much you've seen other countries. Does every country nowadays have? Because I remember when we started 12, 13 years ago, we learned from Estonians. We had, I think, Michigan National Guard had some subunits.
Yeah.
Is this something already common? Do you have a lot of counterparts? Because I didn't find such an equal counterpart in Ukraine, but it's clear that they have massively, called out and seeked the help from private sector and engaged. I feel like very proud Latvians that we have already a unit for a long time and we have experience. What's your international experience?
Yeah, not in very all countries they have a volunteer forces. Usually it's full-time soldiers who are attending this kind of unit. But yes, we have our counterparts in Estonia, as you mentioned, in Kaitselit. Also, cyber defense unit, we have an exercise together every year. I think this year it will be 7th year already that we are working together. We know each other. So last year was beneficial for us because we have an exercise which name is Cyber Baltic. And the main idea was to gather all Baltic states in one exercise, and finally last year we did that. We find our counterparts in Lithuanian Army Rifleman organization. It's like some kind of volunteer forces, something like that also. And we start working together with them. Yes, some other countries are trying to establish, I know that Denmark is also working on that. I think Sweden also. At least I heard the rumors that they are also trying to establish Luxembourg Army. We are working together with them also. Think about this kind of unit because it is easier to make some kind of volunteer forces because you don't need to push them to come. Mm-hmm. They are coming because they know why they are here. Mm-hmm. And mostly all of those members are very proud of the country where they are living, and this is the way how they can protect their virtual borders, not those visible ones, but those who can't see in the real life.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason I asked, because of course the event is happening here in Latvia, and we have a cyber defense unit, but I know that there's an international audience, so we can encourage other people and from other countries either look up if you have such units, or maybe even ask your government that would be a good idea, because again, learning from Ukraine, it's too late when the crisis or major cyber incident breaks out, because you can't really, there are a lot of barriers. Why can't you take just a very smart, intelligent person from the street and let him help with national security level events? So that's something that I think has to be built in advance and consciously. If we can, I've been pushing a lot about the details of the unit itself, and I hope you all find it attractive and will be interested either to join Latvian one or looking at your own homes and see whether you can contribute. Let's talk a little bit more about cybersecurity per se. In a sense, where are we with cybersecurity and cyber defense? There's this classic question, what keeps you, Commander, up at night when you think professionally about cyber and cybersecurity? What are those threats that you see super difficult and challenging in current geopolitical context?
I would say how one of our generals said that we don't have problems, we have challenges all the time. Yes, but what we notice, what is very important, not just focusing on the army, but focusing on also in the civilian sector, it's education of personnel. that's the main, not the problem, but challenge in all countries, I would say. Yes, because that's why we have two types of the supports, how we are trying to support. One is education, that we are trying to educate not just soldiers in the army, volunteers, and all others, but we are focusing also on the teenagers, because the teenagers can go home and explain to grandpa and grandma that you don't need to answer to the questions when someone is calling from the bank and stuff like that, and not clicking on the all links what you have in your email addresses. Yeah, the main reason is, yes, this education. This is what we are trying to establish right now, and not just focusing on the army, but as I said, for the civilian sector. And we are working together with the bank sectors, also working on how we can implement all those threats and explain for the users, and also working together with different kind of schools also. And of course, we are trying to do our best with those knowledge what we have already in our unit and from our experts. As I said, yeah, we need to focus for the education, but not teach how to avoid all those problems, but critical thinking is the key element, I would say. Critical thinking is the way what we are trying to find and push the others to not to do the same steps what they did already for clicking some links and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a very important point to mention the civilian sector. We tend to look at military structures that this is something for military, this is for defense.
No.
But we forget that, of course, the sort of the critical infrastructure or critical services that we have to use every day as society are one of the most vulnerable points to harm us, right? If the armed conflict is about making the biggest harm to the other side, then that's one of the attack directions, you know, how we can hurt the people. And we've seen recently the famous attack in Ukraine was Kyivstar. So, you know, there are two big mobile operators, and one of them went down. And that hack actually is not revealed. It happened, I think, about 2 months ago. It's not revealed entirely what was the reason internally from where the penetration happened, and then who is sort of supposed to be blamed. But it demonstrates how much it can harm. You know, a lot of public sector infrastructure or communication was built on Kyivstar. So a lot of army units, a lot of government services, one of the major banks worked on Kyivstar. So for about a week, that service was not working, and it was not also possible to give the other operator was not able to take over sort of the other half, who is now without connections, because that would crash the network of the other operator. And that would also, for a while, you know, they had to isolate whole Kyivstar network until they were able to find and localize the penetration. So, you know, you couldn't even onboard this system onto different other service network provider. So it was a very interesting experience in a real life, how well Ukraine handled it. So we know that nowadays in cybersecurity, we also say it's not about whether you're going to be hacked or whether you're going to be attacked. It's a question how resilient you are and how quickly you can recover and operate again. And, you know, it can differ from businesses. You know, for some it's data, for some constantly being accessible. Depends. But it's very interesting to see from that Kyivstar experience. So I was wondering whether you learn from the incidents, you have some lessons learned in Latvia. What are the most common, what maybe audience who is not looking to join for for the defense unit, but who is now thinking about what is the most important for their cybersecurity. You know, from your experience, what you see from incidents happening, what is the so-called either weakest link or maybe, I don't like the weakest link, I think maybe what are the typical vulnerabilities or ways that from your experience, those sort of so-called successful incidents or incidents that happened that the audience can learn from you?
So the first thing what is coming to my mind is that always it's all those vulnerabilities starting from the user, actually. Yes, that they are not using the proper passwords or writing down somewhere or forgot or just the easiest passwords are making. And also a lot of people are in the hurry usually, and when the email coming from the boss and you see the link and you need to click and they are on a rush, then they make some mistakes. And I think if we are looking from the different kind of angles, I think that also very common thing is insider in the company or someone. You never know who is who, and yes, these are very common things that are coming to my mind right now, those vulnerabilities. Of course, phishing is a common one, DDoS attacks also, and phishing is the easiest way how to penetrate something or find out the data.
On the same subject, I had a conversation with Latvian National CERT, and they also mentioned as one of the sort of this chain of suppliers. So given that you all work some digital solutions and you might also be a supplier, and quite often there is also these cases that maybe an institution itself, you know, we can take bank, we can take, you know, electricity, but then they have a lot of little service providers or, you know, different other technological components. Yeah. And I think that's super important for all of you to remember that you are a part of a bigger, you know, ecosystem. And if something goes wrong in your system or somebody hacks your system, that can eventually lead to taking down some much bigger critical infrastructure. So this third-party concern has been, I think, for the last years, very much on agenda, and maybe it's just a reminder for all of you here, even you think, well, look, I'm not running a bank, I'm not important, you know, I'm not doing a big service, you know, what can go wrong? I think it's super important to remember that, that you are part of bigger ecosystem.
Exactly, as you mentioned, we have, I think we have at least one expert from each of those entities, what you mentioned already, that we call them like agents, you know. If something will happen, we already know, okay, something's happened, and they know exactly to whom they can ask the support if you need a quick reaction right now.
We have a minute. I maybe ask a futuristic, like, what are you looking forward? Like, what is your dream in the unit? I don't know. Give a 5-year perspective, whichever can be shorter. Like, what is that if you would have all what you want, what are you looking at for the unit?
If you are looking from the Latvian perspective, the first thing, yes, what I'm dreaming that everyone knows how to protect yourself in the cyberspace. That's the first one. Second one, if you will be good educated, that you can protect your country, and you will be harder target for the enemy, definitely. And if you are looking for the cyber unit perspective, that then we are looking forward, and soon will be much bigger unit that we are right now. And of course, there will be different kind of tasks what we will be ready to execute. And as I said, the key element for us is educate the personnel.
Well, I want to thank you, Commander, for the work you're doing. I think you had a unique opportunity actually to listen to a commander of a very elite unit. So if you find it attractive, join. And if you are running companies, if you're working businesses, and if you need help and assistance, go learn from that unit, seek advice, seek help, and really educate yourself and educate your employees, educate your co-workers, and avoid the cyber risks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.